Poltergeist is a Premier Rides launch coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. This ride has been operating for 25 years, but it has been plussed in recent years with a repaint and thematic elements. Does this significantly improve the experience? Find out in this review of Poltergeist. Premier Rides was the first company to offer an electromagnetic launch on a roller coaster in the mid-1990s. They used linear induction motors, or LIMs, to propel trains to high speeds. The first two rides to utilize this technology were Flight of Fear at both Kings Island and Kings Dominion. These were indoor coasters with a convoluted spaghetti bowl layout. This layout would be cloned 3 additional times, but these later installations would be placed outdoors. First would be Mad Cobra at Suzaka Circuit in Japan in 1998. This ride was relocated to China's Discovery Land in 2006, where it now runs as Crazy Cobra. Then Six Flags added 2 of these rides in 1999. One was Joker's Jinx at Six Flags America, the other was Poltergeist at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. The latter replaced a mini golf course and was incorporated into the park's Rockville section. For years, this coaster had yellow track and teal supports and minimal theming, but it was upgraded in 2021. First, the ride was given a new color scheme. The track was painted green, and the supports were given a dark indigo color. Second, the ride was given far more theming. Bartholomew Manor had some ghostly statues added atop the station building. Then the outdoor switchbacks were given some visuals, giving it a creepy ambiance. This includes additional statues, planters, and a garage with a car that reacts every few minutes. This beats the old queue that didn't have anything to look at. The theming continues once you enter the mansion. There's a themed corridor with a haunted painting. There's a screen effect revealing the ghost. Then the station has this ominous wallpaper and all sorts of portraits on the walls. It is enclosed and dimly lit to maintain the ambiance. The lights then flicker right before a train launches. Previously, the backside was open so it was much less atmospheric. This is not something Fiesta Texas had to do, but this park cares far more about theming than most parks in the chain. A handful of rides at this park feature elaborate queue lines, particularly their newer ones. For example, Joker Carnival of Chaos is a themed funhouse. Pirates of the Deep Sea features characters and animatronics. Then Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger has multiple pre-shows and animatronics. This refurbishment raised Poltergeist to the standard set by these newer rides. That's a welcome change because Poltergeist usually has a decent wait. It often hovers around the 20 to 30 minute mark most days. The worst waits are often on Saturdays or during Spring Break and Fright Fest. During these periods, the queue is often twice that. If you visit on a quieter day, Poltergeist often has one train. Each train seats 24 riders as there are 6 cars with 2 rows of 2, but I have seen it run 2 during busier periods. If you want to minimize your wait, you can head here early. Most people tend to start off with Goliath or Iron Rattler at park opening. Alternatively, this ride is included in the park's paid Flash Pass Skip the Line system. You can either purchase a single shot for roughly $10, or you can purchase an all-day option that includes Poltergeist. The merge point is just before you enter the manor, so you still get to see the ride's best theming, and you shouldn't have to wait more than 2 to 3 trains. One important touring note: Poltergeist is extremely sensitive to wind. This coaster is stalled multiple times. This is because the highest point oddly is not immediately after the launch. Rather, it is a turn after the first 3 inversions. The Flight of Fear clones do not have a valleying issue because they operate in a climate-controlled, wind-free indoor environment. Poltergeist does not have this benefit. As a result, it is the first ride in the park to close on a windy day. If you see that winds will pick up as the day progresses, prioritize Poltergeist early in the day. The park will try to get the coaster open, even if it's just a short window. There was one visit last year when the coaster was open for maybe an hour maximum midday. It was closed at the start and end of the day for wind. Once you reach the station, you are free to select any row you'd like. I like the front and back equally on this ride. The front has the rush of wind, but the back has better whip on a few elements, Try both if you have the opportunity. Like all the early Premier Rides launch coasters, this ride used to have over-the-shoulder restraints. I never rode it during that time period, but I heard it was a headbanger. Ever since 2002, the ride has featured individual U-shaped lap bars. Because these were retrofit onto the existing trains, there is not much leg and foot room. You really feel packed in. Once checked, the operators may give a countdown, or they may mess with you. It depends on the day and the operator. Then you launch directly from the station. The first part of the launch track is enclosed. It is a tight hallway with some 2D ghosts that drop down from the ceiling. This enhances the speed. The roar of the launch also reflects back at you, making it feel more ferocious. The LIM launch has decent power, as it accelerates you to 60 miles per hour or 97 kilometers per hour in 3.5 seconds, but the audio and visual effects heighten this moment. Then comes the Cobra Roll. The entry is good positive Gs. These are maintained on the ascent. They're especially intense in front as I start to gray out there. The descent applies good positive Gs for everyone. This is a bit wilder in the back this time because you are whipped downwards. The pullout once again is high Gs, and without pause, you have a sidewinder. This feels like the first half of the Cobra Roll once again. Due to the sustained positives, this is another spot where I can start to gray out. At this point, Poltergeist is high off the ground. You have a tame turn followed by an elevated bunny hill. This actually gives some weak floater airtime. Then you twist into a section of straight track. This is where the mid-course brake run is located on Flight of Fear. On those rides, you often slam to a near stop. This disrupts the pacing and significantly neuters the second half. On Poltergeist, you roll right on through, so the second half is considerably faster and more intense. It starts with a spiral downwards. Nothing too crazy, but it builds up a good amount of speed. You then have an extremely snappy twist right. It sort of feels like a tamer version of the snaps on Intimidator 305. It is such a rapid directional change. This subsequent turn has good positive Gs as well. This leads into another extremely snappy twist, this time left. It rides similarly to the prior one, and the following turn is forceful yet again. This leads into a low turn around the base of the ride with decent Gs. Then comes the fourth and final inversion, a corkscrew. It takes you by surprise after all the turns because you cannot see it coming. This is disorienting and whippy, and there are some great near misses with supports while you navigate it. You then jump into the brakes, getting some weak floater airtime. This was a very hard stop before the 2021 refurbishment, but now it's a bit more gradual, which is appreciated. My head is usually spinning at this point from the fast-paced layout and the constant spiraling. You then return to the station, ending the 2,705 foot or 824 meter long coaster. In terms of smoothness, Poltergeist tracks very well. It is comfortable with the current restraints, but I can see how the old ones caused headbanging on the directional changes. So what would I rate Poltergeist? I would give this ride an 8 out of 10. The 4 inversions are dizzying and powerful. Then the turns in the second half are strong and snappy. I much prefer this to Flight of Fear. The lack of a mid-course brake run dramatically improves the pacing and intensity, even if you are not in the dark. And the recent theming is a very nice touch. While the on-ride experience is more or less the same, it does make the wait more pleasant. So those are my thoughts on Poltergeist at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. What are your thoughts on this coaster and its recent upgrade? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.